well represented, well deserved. Really impressed with Owen Freeman, obviously being Rookie of the Year, and obviously Tony and Peyton, and Owen, getting recognition for all conference. Proud of those guys.
Fran, when did you realize that Owen could have this type of freshman season? Obviously, you recruited him, you watched him a lot, but when did you maybe realize?
Well, we recruited him as an impact player, and when he committed to us, we were really excited. Felt very comfortable at that time that he was going to be immediately impactful. And then, like I've said before, in the summer when we started practicing, you could see it last year. He had an unbelievable senior year, and then had a great summer, a great trip overseas. So not surprised.
Has there been anything about his game that has surprised you in this first season in terms of development?
No, he always had a skill set that translates well to this level at his size. He's got a great demeanor about him in terms of work ethic and preparation, very mature young guy. That's sometimes the hardest part, just adjusting to the next level, but he's done that extremely well.
Fran, I know it's cliche to say the sky's the limit for Owen, but there's more there. Can you talk about that? Because I think
Yeah,
this really is the start.
He can shoot the ball, and I think that's the next step for him. Facing up at 17 feet, picking and popping, shooting threes. We'll work with him on that, and that will definitely help him, with his pro career down the road.
You talked about after the Illinois game needing to be better rebounding. How much of that is effort, and how much is that? What else can you do to get guys to rebound better?
Offensive rebounding is really, it's two things. It's effort and instincts. You have to have a sense, okay, it's a three, it's coming long, it's a floater, maybe it's coming a little short. If it's coming from the left, it's probably gonna end up on the right. And you just gotta you gotta go every time. And that was what was disappointing about that. Clearly we struggled early. We missed our first 11 shots. And so, at some point you gotta say, we gotta go back and get some, put them back in there. So we'll be better.
What's different about Ohio State, other than coaching? Obviously, they've won 5 of the last 6, I think.
Yeah, they had some young guys progress. As I think Royal and Middleton are really good players, and they knew they were really good players. But early on, they weren't playing as much. They're playing a fair amount, played more, and they're not playing like freshmen. Those two guys. So that's been impressive. They were a relatively young team when you look at rosters today. And so I think all of those guys, whether it be the freshman or the sophomore class, has developed throughout the course of the season. When they were losing, they weren't getting drilled. They were losing close games, and now they're winning games, sometimes by a decent amount. So I think you looked at that roster coming into the season and felt like they would be one of the better teams in our league.
What happens with players? I mean, they lose their coach, the guy who presumably brought all of them in, and things aren't going well, and instead of going in the tank, they go the opposite direction.
Yeah. They, like I said, they weren't that far off. I think it was a little surprising. Jake's done a fabulous job. We got to give him credit. The staff stayed together. They haven't changed a whole lot in terms of what they're doing offensively, what they're doing defensively. But, like I said, when I watched that team play, we beat them by 2. It wasn't like we beat them by 20. That was a good team that we beat at that time. They lost some games and, obviously made the decision to make the move. Those kids, I think, you look at, Battle and Zed Key, these are veteran guys. Thornton's one of the best players in our league. Roddy Gale's tremendous. I mean, they have a really good roster. And everybody's seeing it now.
Can you recall when you guys won the whole thing 2022? Just what did you feel like went well during that stretch to allow you to do that?
We had, I think, we had a talented roster with some veteran guys that knew and understood how to win. So we played the game the right way. You know, you're going to be in close games when you go to tournament play. And we knew how to play close games and win close games. The first game we played extremely well. That helped, and you know, won that one pretty handily. But after that, you knew it was going to be what it was. So just you go down there with a plan, and you trust your guys to do what they've always done. You know, Bohannon was running the show, and Keegan set the record, and that's hard to do.
For guys like Patrick and Peyton who were around for that run, Tony, how valuable is that this time around?
Well, they've been through it. You know, they won the whole thing, and then last year we lost in the first round in a very close game. So they kind of know and understand what it's going to be like, and hopefully they can convey some of that to the younger guys.
With the NCAA tournament bubble, there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of talk of this team has to win or this team can't lose. I'm assuming you don't want your guys to buy into that kind of thing. You just want them to play it as if it's a game and they're trying to win. What's the best way to get them out of that mentality and into the mentality they've had all?
You know, I think it's inevitable with all the talk. The thing that really bothers me is when they're talking that way in November. We've all talked about that before. You know, it's understandable that talk would be going on now because you have a body of work to evaluate, and there's going to be winning streaks and losing streaks for most teams. We prepare the same way no matter what the circumstances are. That's how we've always done it, and that's how we'll do it this week.
Kind of curious, the tournament's going to change a different format next year. Do you like that the 3 teams are going to be left out?
No, I do not like that at all.
I didn't think you would.
I don't think anybody does. I'm sure there were reasons for it. As decisions were made at the conference level. Don't agree with it.
You mentioned Jordan Bohannon, the shot against Indiana. Just what all do you remember about that?
Well, I was thinking about calling a timeout, so it's a good thing I didn't do that. You know, sometimes he was one of the greatest clutch players I've ever been associated with. So you know, you just kind of let him go. The play that we drew up didn't work, and that's where you need guys that make plays in those situations. I was really proud of him for doing that.
We talked a lot about Owen winning the freshman of the year honor, but some of your veteran guys like Peyton and Tony taking home conference honors, second team for Tony, third for Peyton. And Peyton last year won 6th man of the year. So just to see some of your older guys.
Yeah, I mean,
win those awards.
you could see that growth coming for Peyton. I'm really happy for him to be recognized. You know, Tony, I mean, they both clearly deserve it. You know, and Owen got recognition too with honorable mention. I thought that was also well deserved. When you're Rookie of the Week 9 times, you know, you deserve mention on the all-conference level. But there's so many great players in this league. You know, you sit down to vote, and you start putting names on paper, and it's like, wow, you know, how do you differentiate this guy from that guy? How's it first team versus second team? And you know, obviously, do the best you can, and the guys that got it certainly deserved it.
I mean, I've seen Ohio State play fast. I've seen them play really slow. How big do you think pace and tempo is going to be Thursday?
You know, I think it's always important, you know, certainly with us, but they have great speed. You know, they'll run some stuff that's really good, directing the ball in certain ways, but, you know, they give their guys freedom too to go make plays. They got guys that can do that. You know, we're always going to try to, you know, play fast and score as many points as we can.
Have you noticed, are they different at all with the interim coach? Or are they basically doing the same stuff?
They're running. I think it's more personnel than scheme.
Okay.
But I do think defensively they've made a concerted effort to really get after people, and with that roster, they certainly have the ability to do that.
What's the key slowing down Thornton? He seems to kind of be the engine that gets them going.
Yeah, he's a handful. He's a playmaker. He runs the point, but he makes plays for himself, for other people. Attacks the defense, gets in the lane, finds people. He can score the ball at all levels. So whenever you have a guy like that, that's going to create a lot of attention from us. But he's got some guys helping him too, and like Okpara has really improved, I think, as the season's gone on. He's been impressive.
All right, thanks.